You might feel excited or even amused seeing wild boars or stray dogs living alongside people in major cities. But in reality, it's actually quite dangerous. They dig through trash cans, run red lights, and even threaten human lives. The boundary between the wild and human life is getting thinner every year. This has already happened from Rome to Texas, from Tokyo to Tel Aviv, yet no one has found a permanent solution to this problem. But Israel is different. The government is now considering bold and incredibly smart actions. So what do you think they're planning to do? Alright, stay until the end to see if your guess is right. If you're seeing the city of Haifa for the first time, you might easily mistake it for a wildlife documentary being filmed. This is the only city where you can actually see humans and wild boars living together. They dash across crosswalks, right in front of cars, stick their heads into trash bins as if they were at home, and casually lie in the sun, forcing streams of pedestrians to walk around them. For tourists, it's a cute experience, and everyone pulls out their phones to record. But for the locals, it's not exactly that. These wild boars have moved from the ravines around Mount Carmel into residential areas with more than 300,000 people. Some blame the massive wildfire in 2016 that destroyed their habitat. Others point to the hunting ban from 2009-2010, which caused the population to explode. On top of that, warmer temperatures have made natural foods scarce, while the city has become a food paradise with trash bins and home gardens everywhere. By 2019, residents in Haifa reported 328 encounters, an increase of nearly 40% compared to 2015. The problem is, these are no longer shy animals. You know what I mean? After living alongside humans for so long, the wild boars aren't really wild anymore. They remember shortcuts, know the hours when traffic is light, avoid traps, and even play with locals. Their natural shoulder shield, a thick layer of armor plus razor-sharp tusks, make them nearly immune to light collisions and extremely dangerous when they get aggressive. After becoming fully accustomed to urban life, they have started attacking people. According to locals, in 2021, an elderly woman was bitten on the leg right near her home. A 69-year-old man was rammed and seriously injured while walking his dog. Another man, about 34, was hit straight at his doorstep by a 330-pound boar, leaving him permanently injured. In 2023, yet another person had to be hospitalized. Elderly people now walk with sticks not for support, but to protect themselves in case a herd suddenly appears. On paper, the chance of being killed by a wild boar is still very low. Since 1825, the U.S. has only recorded about 5 deaths caused by these animals. And this could soon happen in Haifa as well. When wolves, the only predators capable of controlling wild boars, disappeared from Israel, after nearly a century of hunting, the entire ecosystem collapsed like a bridge, losing its main support. Every year, the city spends more than $2 million on direct damages. Public gardens are torn apart, cars are dented and smashed, and lawns are ripped up. Many farms lose 40–60% of their crops. Of course, the Israeli authorities tried every mechanical method, building steel fences, which the boars knocked down, chaining trash bins, which they still managed to flip over, setting traps, which the boars learned to avoid, and using culling, which caused public outrage and was ultimately pointless because the population would rebound within months. They give birth twice a year, with each litter having 5 to 6 piglets. They also tried weird scientific solutions, low-frequency sound waves, lion urine scent, and even synthetic predator odor mixtures, but all failed. A 2021 report from Israel's Ministry of Environmental Protection stated, Haifa's wild boars no longer respond to threat signals. What's happening now mirrors the exact tragedy of Yellowstone in the United States, when wolves were wiped out, elk and deer populations exploded and destroyed the vegetation. Israel is only different in one thing: the species that exploded wasn't deer. In the eyes of many ecologists, there is only one solution strong enough to stop the rise of wild boars, bringing wolves back to their rightful role. As we mentioned earlier, wolves are the only species capable of controlling wild boars. An adult wolf can hunt 50-80 boars a year, and across this entire continent, 50% of a wolf's diet is wild boar meat. They attack in formation, understand roles, and know how to corner a 330-pound animal. But in Israel, it's not the European wolves we talked about. Israel originally had two subspecies, the Indian wolf in the north and the Arabian wolf, the smallest wolf in the world, in the south. A century ago, they lived from Galilee to the Negev, keeping rabbits, gazelles, jackals, and especially wild boars under control. But from the 1920s to the 1970s, humans treated them as enemy number one. Israel had a nationwide wolf eradication program, bounties for every wolfskin steel traps placed across the hillsides, and wide area poisoning with compound 1080. By the late 1970s, wolves were nearly wiped out. It wasn't until the 1990s, when conservation laws tightened, that wolves slowly but steadily began to survive again. Today, they are the last remaining large predators in Israel, since the Asiatic cheetah has vanished, and the Arabian leopard survives only in a few hidden individuals. So the idea of bringing wolves back to restore balance seems reasonable. It appeals to the spirit of our era, returning nature to its rightful place. But Israel is not Yellowstone, and today's wolves are no longer the wolves of a century ago. In Israel, the wild wolf population is estimated at only 120-150 individuals, spread thin along the length of the country, nowhere near strong enough to confront a wild boar population growing at an exponential rate. Even worse, wolves in Israel are losing their hunting instincts. Studies by the Israel Nature and Parks Authority show that 30 to 40% of a wolf's current diet comes from urban trash. In Ein Gedi and Masada, cameras have recorded wolves wandering around parking lots, pulling food out of plastic bags, and even approaching people to beg for food. Some tourists have even fed wolves by hand, unintentionally teaching them that humans are a resource, not a threat. This dangerous domestication of wolves quickly led to consequences. From 2015 to 2020, Israel recorded a series of wolf attacks on humans. The most shocking incident happened in 2017. In Ein Gedi, a wolf charged and attacked a young girl playing right next to her family. The entire scene was caught on camera, spread nationwide, and forced the government to put down that individual wolf. And immediately, public opinion exploded. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who should we protect, humans or wolves? But for Israeli farmers, the answer is very clear. Wolves are enemies disguised as symbols of nature. Every year they cause the loss of about 200 cattle and sheep, enough to push small farms to the edge of bankruptcy. In Galilee and the Golan, frustration has led to extreme reactions, setting traps, poisoning, and even shooting wolves right at the farm gates. In 2018, one mass poisoning incident killed 8 wolves in a single night, sparking a nationwide uproar. But ecologists say the complete opposite. They warn, if Israel loses its wolves a second time, the natural balance will never be restored. And they have evidence. In Europe and North America, many regions chose a different path. Instead of killing wolves, they protect livestock using technology and smart management. The most famous model is the Wood River Wolf Project in Idaho, led by conservationist Suzanne Stone. For 10 years, farmers, officials, and scientists worked together and achieved something remarkable. The number of sheep killed by wolves dropped to nearly zero without killing a single wolf. They used non-lethal tools, Akbash and Kangal dogs. fox lights, nighttime electric enclosures, and rules requiring livestock carcasses to be removed within 24 hours. This success raises a question: why doesn't Israel adopt the same approach? The answer is paradoxical. Israel's terrain is steep, farms are small, and scattered budgets are limited, and political tensions make three-way cooperation nearly impossible. Back in Israel, while the whole country was still arguing over whether to increase the wolf population or not, another candidate was being considered as a replacement: the striped hyena. Yes, the same scavenger species that had been hunted for generations. They had disappeared from most of Israel, but now they're returning in an upgraded version, bigger, bolder, and far more fearless around humans. Unlike their African cousins, the spotted hyenas, known for being aggressive and living in packs, striped hyenas in Israel mostly live solitary lives. But the easy access to food has changed both their behavior and their physical condition. Ecologists have noted that individuals appearing near residential areas tend to be larger, stronger, and more active than those living deep in the wild. The most famous case is Ruthie the striped hyena, who became an online sensation in the city of Modi'in. For years, residents filmed Ruthie casually walking through courtyards, digging through trash cans, and even standing still to watch children play as if she were a neighbor. Authorities captured Ruthie and released her into the wild. She came back. They took her farther away, nearly 30 kilometers from the city. She still came back. Videos of Ruthie returning spread across social media until 2022, when she was hit by a car, a tragic ending to the wild's intrusion into urban life. Striped hyenas are currently classified as near threatened, yet the irony in Israel is that they have never been closer to humans. Just like wild boars, they return to the cities for one very simple reason: humans produce far too much easily accessible food. The story doesn't end there. If hyenas are the upgraded version of scavengers, then jackals are the species whose behavior is changing right before people's eyes. In recent years, Yarkon Park in Tel Aviv, a green oasis in the middle of the city, has become the capital of Israel's jackals. Here, surveillance cameras have captured scenes no one ever expected to see: jackal packs dividing territory, guarding water ponds as if they were managing a miniature wildlife reserve. They eat everything: fish, water birds, garbage, and even leftover pet food. Their adaptability has led ecologists to call them super generalists. But the most concerning part is this: they've become accustomed to humans. In Yarkon, some jackals approach walkers within just a few meters without barking or running, simply waiting to see if you might leave behind something edible. And this is the dangerous threshold. When mid-level predators stop fearing humans, they begin to directly compete with two other species: hyenas and wolves. The Tel Aviv authorities have had to declare war, building fences, controlling waste, and even researching biological sterilization methods to reduce the jackal population. But the results are troubling. In just 10 years, the number of jackals around Tel Aviv has more than doubled despite all efforts. Today's story is about Israel, but when we look more broadly, it appears to be part of a global trend. Wildlife is learning to live in cities faster than humans are learning to manage them. When wild boars in Haifa sleep in people's yards, the same thing is happening in Japan, Italy, Germany, and the United States, only different in scale and speed. In Japan, the town of Arashima once had to shut down all its schools after wild boars flooded into the playground. In Rome, videos of boars walking along the Via Appia Antica like polite tourists became an online sensation. Meanwhile, in Germany, Spain, and France, wild boar populations have increased by up to 400% in just 30 years. A 2022 EU report warned Europe is experiencing an unprecedented wave of wild boar urbanization. Meanwhile, in Texas, feral hogs wild boars mixed with domestic pigs have increased tenfold in 3 decades, destroying more than $5 billion worth of crops every year and forcing authorities to use helicopters, giant traps, and even contraceptive bait to fight them. All these examples point to one thing: when forests disappear, cities become the new forests. Wildlife no longer recognizes human-made boundaries. They simply follow the only thing that matters to them: food. And in modern cities, food is abundant and far too easy to access. So what makes Israel different? Israel has almost no forests left, only fragmented patches of habitat. Wolves are only effective when they have wide forested space to chase and surround prey. But in Israel, wild boars are fed by garbage bins, farms, and irrigated lawns, making them bigger, stronger, and harder to hunt. In the end, the problem in Israel isn't the wild boars, the jackals, or the hyenas. The real issue is the comfort humans have unintentionally created for them: open garbage forests, torn apart, and ecological corridors broken into pieces. If Israel or any country facing similar challenges wants to end this cycle, they must start at the root: strict waste management, creating semi-wild buffer zones, and restoring nature the right way. Nature knows how to balance itself as long as we give it a chance. If you have a different opinion, or if you want another episode about urban rewilding solutions, feel free to leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe. There are many strange and fascinating stories from around the world waiting for you to discover.